affirmation of the idea that living on a deserted island would be superior to living in a jungle. Now, I do this for 3 key reasons. Now, first off, before we go into my major reasons, we need to look to some definitions. First off, we need to look to what a deserted island is. A deserted island is merely a landmass in the middle of a body of water that would be capable of supporting life that has no other members on this. Now, this means that I could be an island in a lake or an ocean, which therefore means any agricultural arguments are completely valid. Now, moving on, next, a jungle is going to be similar to that of a rainforest, whether it be that of the Amazon or the Congo, which is going to make it completely incapable of agricultural subsidy based on the fact of the high nutrient subsidization from the tree. So therefore, you're going to have to take this into account when you weigh my opponent's arguments. Now, starting off, let's look to my first reason of why a deserted island would be superior to a jungle. Starting off, you're going to see of the human condition. Now, when we exist in a jungle, we're going to be living in a very, very dark place because the trees cloud out most of the view. So therefore, we're going to be living in destitution. Now, if you go to the cave argument formulated by Plato in the Republic, you're going to see that when man lives in darkness, he's going to be depressed, he's going to be sad. So therefore, because we harm our psyche by living in the jungle, you're going to find the deserted island is going to be superior because it's going to have greater access to sunlight and therefore happiness, so therefore I already win because I allow myself to exist in a happy place. Next, we're going to look to food sources. When we exist on a deserted island, if you go back to the definition, I'm going to be completely capable of substantiating greater food sources than I'm going to be in a jungle because the jungle, the nutrients in the soil are already completely deprived based on the existence of high levels of plants already in existence. So therefore, I'm going to be able to grow more things in a deserted island than I'm going to be able to do so in a jungle. So therefore, I'm going to be able to live longer because I'm going to have greater food sources as well as the fact that I'm going to have greater access to fish and he's going to be exposed more to wild animals that are going to want to kill him. So therefore, I'm going to live longer. Now, my third major reason, and this one goes out to you, is I can't hurt other people or annoy them or break their stuff if I'm on a deserted island.
For that last sentence.
That knocked over my phone.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I did deserve that.
Yeah. True.
Why did you say that then? Hey, no, I respect you. I know. I might. Alright, why do you say that? Okay, how does happiness come from light if not from darkness?
Okay, if you go back to the cave argument, and Plato formulates it in his book, The Republic, essentially when people live in a lighter area, or when people are exposed to more things that are capable of substantiating happiness, i.e. sunlight, which has been scientifically proven to release happier endorphins, they live in a greater state of being. So therefore, living on a deserted island where there's more sunlight is going to be better for you than living in a jungle where it's dark based on the cloud, based on the tree cover.
Can you just build a fire?
But then you kill yourself because you just burned down the trees and you're going to be inhaling all the carbon monoxide and you're dead, so therefore your argument's invalid.
I'm referring to a campfire or a torch.
Okay, fire has a negative connotation.
I'm not saying a wildfire.
No, fire in and of itself has been scientifically proven to promote a negative mental response, so therefore your idea of fire somehow substituting for sunlight is completely invalid again because you're going to be promoting a negative connotation of violence or anger onto the mental psyche, so therefore you're going to be harming yourself.
Wouldn't there be other kinds of... Wow. This is killing it, life. Let's see what we do with this. Living in a deserted island would not be easier than living in the jungle for 3 main reasons. One, there are actually resources in the jungle a lot more than the deserted island where you can live and sustain life. For example, you can have light from abundance of trees. You could make torches and campfires, which you could live and probably not die from. Second, and to add on, there are, as you said, in the rainforest, there's easy to put out a fire, if you said. If it went out of hand, you could take it out. My second main point is that, like I said, there's actually more trees, so you can actually build some shelter, which is the one main thing you need, not just some food. Which comes to the third point, there's abundance of food if you actually look for plants that have grown fruit, and there are some wild pigs and other animals that can actually eat the meat. Not insects, because those things are just nasty. And darkness is not just psychologically bad for you, it's actually good for you, because you can use darkness as camouflage, as most animals do. They just cover themselves in mud and just hide by a tree. Or cover themselves with grass and leaves that just stick by a bush. And almost anybody can live in the jungle based on its fruit that grow in there. Abundantly, bananas, mangoes. You can practically grow an apple tree there almost if you can actually get a decent plot of land that's not as clear, which are proven in jungles in the Amazon and as the Congo. There are places in the jungle where it's deserted from farming, which is still usable for fruit plants, and wildlife is not. And as wildlife says, there's not much to be worried about in the jungle from animals. On the deserted island, there could be anything you do not know of. Maybe native indigenous people could be living there that are hostile and cannibals.
Deserted island.
Time.
Okay, so before we start, make sure you keep your answers quick, because I got a lot of questions.
Before we
Okay, so
start.
starting off on the premise of a deserted island, are there going to be indigenous people if it's a deserted island where there is no one?
A deserted island, you said in desert.
A deserted island.
A
What is the
deserted island
definition
is
of a deserted?
sustained
Did you
life.
actually no?
You
Did
said
you offer a counter definition of a deserted island?
a deserted island?
Did you or did you not?
No, but I can
No,
do it
thank you.
right now.
Okay, so now moving on. Let's talk about your foodstuffs argument. Are mangoes a tropical fruit?
Yes,
So therefore, they could grow on an island.
yes.
So your arguments about food stores are non-unique.
No, I'd say there were
So
more
there,
abundant
so
in
there
the
are
jungle.
only mangoes in a jungle.
No,
And there are only bananas in a jungle.
no. But I
And
said
there
it's
are
more
only
abundant.
animals in a jungle.
If you let me stay, I just said there are
Actually,
more
okay, let's
abundant
move on from this question. What is your knowledge of herbs and fruits? Like, can you differentiate a lethal fruit from a non-lethal fruit right now?
Personally, yes, but for a majority of
Can the
people-
average person?
And the average person more 50-50%.
The answer is no, isn't it?
No, 50-50.
Are you sure? Do you have
Yes.
a card for that?
No, I do not have it with me right now, but I've studied this when I was younger. And
Cute.
currently now.
Okay, I don't need cards. Okay, and this is 1 minute, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start off with my opponent's first point where he talks about resources. Now he talks about how the fact that, well, you have all these resources, you have light, you have shelter, you have torches, you have food. Okay, all these are non-unique arguments, and if anything, they actually flow better over to the outside because you're going to see that I actually have more resources based on the fact that I actually have agricultural viability. He never touches on this argument. If you go back to my definition of deserted island, this could be an island in the middle of a lake, in the middle of an ocean, or anywhere. Now because of this, you're going to see that because I'm in the middle of a lake, the most agricultural and fertile soil ever found in the existence of mankind has been islands in the middle of lakes. Now these are also deserted because no one lives on them, so therefore I'm perfectly capable of living in a deserted island more than I'm able to in a jungle because I'm actually capable of growing food. So therefore I'm going to live because I also turn all his research arguments because even as he's seated in CX, these are non-unique, they exist elsewhere, but also you're going to find that the animals in the jungle, like snakes, are going to kill you where there are no animals that like this on deserted islands. So therefore you turn that completely and I already win. Now go to this bogus camouflage argument that he makes. I'm a white guy. The night is not going to stop me, and also you're going to find that he's not going to be able to really gain any kind of resource argument from this plant argument because obviously not everyone can distinguish lethal from non-lethal, so therefore he's going to kill himself first.
Well, I don't think we need.
Whenever you're ready.
As I can tell, my opponent is white, as I said. But as I also stated, you can cover yourself with mud or brush, which is actually effective and is proven to be effective against leopards, jaguars, and yes, snakes. Second out, food is more abundant in a bigger place than a small little island in the middle of nowhere. In the lake, yes, it might have fertile soil, but does it have enough food to sustain you and maybe another person?
Okay, I vote for views.